Welcome to Prep Recruiting Insider. We are here at the Event Center today at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana, home of Prep Recruiting Insider, and we are excited to be here. We'll not only tell you about some of the greatest high school football players in the nation and in our area, but the fastest vehicles and the best place to drive them is right here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. Hello again and welcome to Prep Recruiting Insider. We are just about in the midway of the season, of the high school football season that is. And as usual, we are here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale. We are in the Event Center. And as always, my partner, the Prep Recruiting Insider, Rene and Ro, is with us today. Nene, how you doing? You know, these vehicles are still here. I thought you were going to buy one of these things. I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a driver's license, but I'm going to get one. That's never stopped you before.
No, but you know, it's great to be here. It's a halfway point in the recruiting season, in the high school season, but the recruiting season never really goes away. And I think some of the guys we're talking to today, best running back, best cornerback in the state, I think they'll tell you that this recruiting process has been long underway, and it doesn't just go for 3 or 4 months. It's a long process.
Okay, what's been fun about this is that it's always fun to track recruiting in the state of Louisiana because we always have lots of blue chippers in Louisiana. But as we said on show number 1, this is the best year I think I have ever seen, and it's bearing out that way, Rene. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, and the thing is that it's not just the guys that we're going to talk to today, because we have the elite players today, but you got a lot of guys that are flying under the radar, if you will, Ro. And I'm not saying that some of these players are not good, but we'll talk more about it next week. One guy that I really like a lot is, if you will, a lot of people don't know about him in recruiting buffs, is Keon Williams, a quarterback wide receiver out of Lusher High School. He's being recruited by Boise State and Utah and a lot of schools around the country, Washington State. And a lot of people, I guess a lot of recruiting people would not be familiar with his name. There's a lot of people just like that you don't recognize that are going to be really, really outstanding players on the college level.
Well, one person that you would recognize, and he will be on our show today because this is St. Aug Day, our featured school, and of course the #1 recruit in the country, and that is running back Leonard Fournette. What about number 5?
Well, you know, he's a guy that runs angry, and he's got a lot of tools. He's a big guy, but he's fast. He's a sprinter on the track team, and you know, he's talented enough to play on either side of the ball, and the coaches use him in defense when necessary. But you know, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He plays like a smaller guy. He doesn't play. You know, he can run between the tackles, but he can cut it outside, and he's got that extra gear. So he's a very unique skill.
I want to get back to that under the radar stuff we're talking about, because even on a regular year, Louisiana, we always specialize in those under the radar guys. We have a tradition of that, of guys who turn out to be really tremendous football players on the collegiate and the professional level, and nobody really knows them or talks about them in high school. The one that comes to mind, of course, when people say that is Marshall Falk at Carver High School.
And Aeneas Williams is another one. You know, there's so many guys that excelled in college and went to the NFL and were great players, and no one really knew about them. And recruiting is such a big thing now. It's a business in itself, and people who consider themselves experts who watch TV and stuff. But anyway, the under the radar guys, there's a lot of great players that maybe a lot of people don't know about.
We are here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. This is the place to be. Fast cars and the best place to drive them. You can do all kinds of things out here. Right now we're in the Event Center where you can hold your meetings and your receptions. Terrific place. When we return on Prep Recruiting Insider, we'll talk to the #1 high school football recruit in the country. Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana, the place to be if you like motorcycles, go-karts, the whole works. They'll even work on your car that you drive on the street. Should mention that big situation coming here in November. It's the Rotax Max Challenge. Grand finals will be held right here November 13th to 16th, right here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale. Rene and Ro is with me, and we are joined now by the #1 high school football player in the country. From St. Augustine High School, running back Leonard Fournette. How does that feel You know, when people say that, you know, you're the #1 high school, and it's always relative because, as you know, there may be somebody who's, you know, some 9th grade kid right now that nobody knows about who might really be the #1. But how does that feel, Leonard, when people say that about you?
It makes me feel great, you know, all the hard work I put in throughout my whole entire high school career, and it pays off. So, you know, I thank God every day for that somebody recognized my talent as being a #1 player.
Well, I would say it's recognized if it's saying that kind of stuff about you. You know, we'll get to the usual questions about how recruiting's going and all that. First time I saw you was in 9th grade. I can remember as plain as day where it was. It was at St. Paul's in Covington, and it was a scrimmage. And this kid comes out there. He's kind of tall, nice-looking kid, kind of angular, and you know, they tell me he's a 9th grader. I said, "Whoa!" I'll never forget. You took off on about this 75-yard run on that scrimmage, and I said, you know, and I said, he's really good for his age. Really good for his age. Last year, as an 11th grader, I thought you were just good. Talk about, you know, how this ride has been before we get to college, these 4 years, or 3.5.
Pretty much as a 9th grader, you know, I had to grow up fast, and I had to play a big role in the team and as a leader overall. And like I said, I enjoyed my 9th grade year playing with some people like Trey Joyner, John Austin, Terry Lucas. It was a great experience, especially just being around them. It kind of made me feel older than what I was. You know, I always looked up to them. So it was a great experience.
When did you feel like you belonged? Because when you're in the 9th grade and you come in, you're always, you know, it's kind of normal to feel.
I think
kind
the
of
summertime.
Yeah.
It was the summertime when we went to camp together, and they were just telling me how it is, you know, in high school, or about the girls in high school. So I think in the summertime, that's when we really had got connected.
Well, I wasn't going there, but you know, okay.
You know, Leonard, we were talking off the air, and something that people don't know about you, and Jermaine's the same way. You're a 3.2 grade point average guy. That's something you take pretty serious, don't you?
Oh yeah. Since I was young, you know, my mother always installed in us, you know, grades come first, football is last, and your brain will take you farther than football, and that's what we was taught since we was young.
I've asked Cyril Crutchfield a couple of times, is that a number 5 or is that an S on his chest? You know, the thing is though, what criteria do you have for the school that you can eventually go to? What are you looking for? What is the 3 or 4 things?
The first thing, you know, academics first. Make sure I'm a big freak about grades. You know, make sure make sure I'm straight as a man and for my family. And as far as football, you know, football is going to take care of itself. I'm just focusing on my grades right now.
You know what you want to major in?
Engineering.
Engineering?
Or business.
Okay.
Now you have some trips that you've already taken, and do you have your official trips? Now you're going to make your final decision at one of the All-Star games.
Yeah, I'm making it at the Under Armour game.
And what's the date of that?
I think January 2nd.
Now what is right now the 3 or 4 schools that you're considering, and when are trips going to be scheduled?
I really don't have a top yet. I didn't make any trips yet, so I'm still planning on it. Me and my father and my mother have been talking about it, and it should come out eventually.
Okay, so you haven't made a decision on the top 4 or 5 schools or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay.
You haven't decided where you're going to visit?
Nah, not yet.
Okay, all right. You haven't taken any official visits yet?
None at all.
Okay.
Is there a favorite player? I mean, Ro and I were talking earlier, Leonard, about, you remind us of a guy, you know, Adrian Peterson. Is there a favorite player you've kind of modeled yourself after?
Nah, I don't have a favorite player. I try to be better than any football athlete, you know, that people look up to. I'm trying to be remembered as something great.
Well, here's some video, and the thing that Ro and I have seen before, and he was alluding to, you have an extra gear for a guy your size, about 6'1", 225, 4'3", 40. You have that instinct that you could plant that foot and go, and you have that extra gear.
You know, I get it from track. People may not believe, but you know, track is harder than football.
I know that. We're going.
Yeah, it's way harder than football, and it's kind of like a mental thing. And you run all day, so why wouldn't you get faster?
And Leonard Fournette, we should mention you were good enough to win at least a district title in the 100, as I recall, right? Yeah, you did win the district title. So, you know, you're not just out there just because, you know, you're trying to stay in shape. You know, you're out there scoring points for the track team as well.
Yes, sir.
You know, you may not have a favorite player, but, you know, give me some players you admire.
You know, AP. He's a great running back. Oh, man, let's see who else. Dane Thomason.
What do you learn? What do you learn from those people when you watch them? Let's say, for instance,
like the little things, like their craft. Like I see, they have balance, and they work on their ball security. Like you rarely see them fumble. And another person, though, I seen Marcus Allen. I've met Marcus Allen. We had a talk before. Great person, great man to be around. And Walter Payton. Stiff arm, like. I know I'm not nothing like him because he's still on the people the ball in his hands. So
really,
that's just something I might try. I like to try that.
You told us last year on the show that you like linebacker, and if you had your druthers, you'd like to play linebacker. Why do you like defense so much?
Like hitting people, Sometimes it's better to give a lift than take one. So I'd rather give one than take one any day.
Is there, people come up to you and ask you all kind of things, and I can't imagine some of the crazy questions you've been asked already before, but how much of a success is a program going to be? In other words, does a team have to win a BCS title or have to win a bowl game, or depending on players from this area, if they're going there? Does that influence you, any of those things influence you at all?
No, not really. At the end of the day, just for any athlete, it's a school that you like and that has interest in you and you have interest in them. So it's whatever school I feel like I'd be great there.
What's the one thing you like least about this whole recruiting thing?
If
you come up with, if there's something that say, I wish we didn't have.
The calls, like you call multiple times every day. But my father and my coaches take care of that, so it really doesn't bother me or get to me.
What's the neatest thing, on the flip side of that, from Ro's question, what's the neatest thing that you've discovered in the recruiting process that has been a pleasant surprise?
Going to visit places that you've never been before or even much imagine of going. So I think that's the neatest thing about it.
Such as?
Miami, Alabama. I went to USC, Florida State, so pretty much a lot of places.
Now, are you a big NFL fan?
Nah, not really, but my favorite team is the 49ers.
Really? Why so?
Their defense. I love their defense.
Their defense. I want to ask you, while I'm thinking about this, we're going to talk to one of your teammates in the next segment. Jermaine Roberts. Talk about him. Okay, you're the analyst now, Leonard. Okay, you're the analyst, all right, and it's your job to tell us about him.
Jermaine, he's quiet. He doesn't say too much, but he shows out on the field. He's kind of like a cat. He's quick. He's quick on the field. He has those instincts that the ball. If the ball's by him, he's gonna get it. And we grew up together since we was young, so I think we have that brotherly hood, that brotherly love right there. So I just wish the best for him. I wish we could play together in college, but he's gone somewhere else. So I wish the best for Jermaine, and I love him.
It's been 34 years since St. Augustine has won a state football championship. However, in spite of that, it is still considered one of the benchmark programs in the state. Talk about playing at St. Aug. What does that mean to you, if anything at all? I mean, how does that make it different?
My 7th grade year, I really didn't like St. Aug because it was an all-boys school. But as I got older, it kind of fell in love with St. Aug. And just playing on a football team with some of the players it's a different feeling. People you've been knowing since you was young, and y'all grew up together as young men, and knowing that we all can be successful, and what St. Aug has taught us, it's a great feeling, knowing that we can make St. Aug proud and make our parents proud, and even much ourselves. So this year, I'm trying to win a state championship. I'm trying to get St. Aug back on the map, and just rep St. Aug in the best way I can.
You keep mentioning your dad and your family.
Yeah, that's a big thing to me. We always, ever since I was young, we always been together, and my father has always been there for me through everything. I think him and God are probably the only people I look up to.
And one more thing I want to tell you, well, I got a lot of things I can ask you, but right now, you might be the second best player in your family, right?
Yeah. My younger brother.
Talk about that, yeah.
That feeling is different. It's a loving feeling, to see your little brother that's somebody that always been under you, and he's doing things you never imagined. Like, I never thought I'd play on a football team with my little brother, because you know I'm always older than him, and I was playing on the upper team than him. So just seeing him score and seeing him do the things that I see him do, it amazed me. I'd be inside, I jump for joy for him because I'd be so excited for him. But you know, I can't shut on the field. You know, I just should have leadership on the field. But when we get home, you know, I give him a hug. I'm proud of him.
And his name is?
Leonard Fournette.
And he is a junior.
Yes, he is.
And recently in the Covenant game, both of you guys went over 100 yards.
100 yards, yeah. And he's a 4.0 student.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
As we wrap this up, is this all that's going on for you right now? You know, do you kind of pinch yourself sometimes still? I mean, after all that, I mean, it's been a while. People have been chasing you for a while, but, you know, do you still kind of go, wow, I can't believe this has happened?
Sometimes I do when I'm at home, just sitting down playing a game, and I have a talk with my father and them, and like in the back of my mind, I said, people really are, like, I'm blessed. I'm in a blessed position, and I make sure I don't mess it up at all. I stay around positive people, my family, and I just pray to God every night that make sure I'm wise and humble. I just thank Him for that.
Well, Leonard, you know, a lot of times, you know, we've been covering this stuff, Rene and I, for a long time, and a lot of times, highly recruited athletes, it turns into a train wreck. And sometimes it's because of obvious reasons. It's people who are not mature enough to handle it. Sometimes the families and the parents aren't mature enough to handle it. It appears that you are in a situation where, you know, this is being handled very well, and because you appear to be just handling it very well, because you appear to be a very mature guy, and good luck to you wherever you decide you want to go, and wherever you decide you go, they're going to have a pretty good football player and perhaps even a better person.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty. Leonard Fournette, the #1 high school football player in the country, running back from St. Augustine High School right here in New Orleans, Louisiana. When we come back on Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana, we'll talk to Jermaine Roberts, another St. Augustine Purple Knight. At some point. Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana, the place to be if you are into speed. Come on out here. Got it all for you out here. And it's not just on the track. As we said, we are in the event center where you can hold your meetings, your parties, your receptions, 34,000 square feet of space right here at NOLA Motorsports Park. Rene and Ro, the Prep Recruiting Insider, is here with us. We had Leonard Fournette, St. Aug running back, on our last segment, and now we're joined by one of his teammates, one of his very, very good teammates, and a highly recruited guy himself. You know, got it out of the way early, decided what he wanted to do. I like a guy who knows what he wants to do. And we're talking about Jermaine Roberts, a fine cornerback from St. Augustine High School, who is headed to the University of
Texas.
Yep.
And what made that final decision? I know, talk about some of the schools that you considered, and you said earlier that you may be making some visits. What went into the decision for you, Jermaine?
Well, some of the schools I was deciding from, it was Alabama, Texas A&M, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Texas. Those were my tops. But what made me pick Texas, because they're losing a lot of DBs, they're losing 8 DBs, and I felt safe there, and I'm really close with the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm. And of course, your head coach will be Mac Brown, as I told you. I call him William because that's his real name. How much did that have to do with, Mac has always been a pretty good recruiter, and you know, how much did that have to do with your decision to go to Austin?
Well, Coach Brown, he's a good coach, and he had a lot to do with it, but it really was Coach Porter and Coach Aquino, my position coach. But Coach Porter is the guy who recruited me. He was a running back coach. Man, we have a good relationship too, and he usually recruit down here because he coached at LSU.
And that's Larry Porter.
Yes, sir.
Coach Larry Porter. Yeah.
Now I really consider you the best cornerback in the state of Louisiana. You got great hips. You had 9 interceptions last year, 2 for touchdowns. How much does cornerback play come easily to you, or is it something that you really work on, Jermaine?
Yeah, I work on it a lot in the off season. You just gotta visualize your plays before it happens. I think about it a lot too, so always working at it and watching film.
You get to practice against some pretty good people, receivers that is too.
Yes, sir.
And you know, talk about them. You know, Stanley Morgan, of course, and Watts. Just talk about how much that helps.
Yeah.
A lot of talk, a lot of smack.
A lot of talk.
Oh,
Me and Stanley, we get into it a lot at practice. I remember spring we had a fight
Really?
during the spring game. It get intense because we like to challenge each other, but they helped me a lot with Marlon Watts in this, and he's like a big receiver, so he helps me getting used to sticking bigger receivers, and Stanley. So it's probably the best receiver. In my eyes, they're the best receivers in the state.
It's a recruiting show, so I guess we should mention Marlon's going to La Tech. Is that true? Going
Yes,
to Louisiana Tech, and Stanley still deciding.
He's still deciding.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, you're still going to make some visits, so talk a little bit about, you're going to go to Texas for your official visit, but you're going to make some other stops, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Texas for my official visits. I'm still gonna visit Texas A&M on my second official visit. I haven't thought about the other 3 yet.
Texas A&M, they've been doing a pretty good job recruiting here. And, you know, they got some people, of course, as we well know, of course, cornerback from Carr last year, you know, with Noel. And you talked to them about A&M?
Before I made my decision, I used to talk to, we used to text a lot, me and Noel. He used to always tell me to come there, but I decided to go the other route with Texas Longhorns. But I'm still thinking about it right now. I'm 100% solid, but I'm still going to take my official visit.
Now you, much like Leonard, you have a 3.0 grade point average. You take school very seriously. What are you thinking about educationally? What do you want to major in?
Right now, I was thinking about business, but I'm still kind of undecided right now. I'm thinking about sports management too.
Your season this year, you know, you had a very tough game against Carr, and you got a game coming up against John Curtis. You know, it's the 3 perhaps best teams in the area, you know, 3 of the best teams. It's kind of different this year that you all are playing each other, kind of like a little round robin tournament. Talk about that. How much do you like that?
I mean, I like it a lot. There's a lot of trash talk, but I try not to get into it a lot. But Curtis, there's a great team. Carr's a great team, but we just got to stay focused and be disciplined. Because Curtis, they're going to be disciplined. We just got to stay focused and practice on the right things.
Now you haven't run track yet, which surprises me, but with your vertical, you have a 38-inch vertical. It would seem to me that you'd have a great chance to succeed in like the long jump or something like that. What are you going to be doing in track this coming spring?
I'm going to run a relay with Leonard, and I'm going to try the long jump and probably the triple jump. Triple.
You are a cornerback. Talk about playing that position. You know, haven't you ever deep down want to be a receiver or something and get some of that kind of glory now and then? But, you know, talk about playing that position and how much you like it and why.
Well, it's the hardest position on the field, and I like it because I used to play receiver my 9th grade year, and coming to my sophomore year, I talked to my position coach, the defensive back coach. He wanted me to play cornerback, but the head coach at the time, we had Coach David Johnson. He had Tulane, and he didn't want me to play cornerback. He wanted me to stay at receiver, so it was kind of back and forth. And so one of our cornerbacks had got hurt, and they forced me to play cornerback.
I told you I'd ask you the same question that I asked your teammate, Leonard Fournette. You are the analyst. Analyze Leonard Fournette.
Well, he's a humble guy. That's somebody you could call and talk to when you're going through something. What a lot of people don't know, he's a spiritual person. Like, he'll call me in the middle of the night or text me and be like, get on your knees and pray. Like, don't forget to say your prayers. I remember one time I was sleeping by his house one time. Me and his little brother was playing the game. He came in, I turned the game on, made us say our prayers.
Interesting.
Get on your knees and pray.
Yeah.
One more question before we let you go. You heard me ask Leonard about, you know, what it means to, you know, play football at St. Augustine High School. I mean, you know, all the schools here have great tradition. You know, they really do. And St. Aug, of course, is one of those schools. What does that mean to you, and why is that a big deal to Jermaine Roberts?
Well, I didn't like St. Aug neither, like Leonard said, because it was all boys school. But they teach you how to be a man, show you moral values, show you how to be disciplined, like how to dress. So going there, I learned a lot. Not doing the wrong things, being around positive people, disciplining you, and talk to you the right way.
Well, Jermaine Roberts, St. Augustine High School, you can give me a hook 'em horns. You got to do it. Yeah, you already knows how to do that. That's pretty good. Good luck to you over in Austin, Texas, and enjoy watching you play, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Okay, it's Jermaine Roberts, cornerback, St. Augustine High School, one of the top recruits in the state of Louisiana, headed to the University of Texas. This is Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. We'll be back. We'll talk a little X's and O's with the coaches, Rene and Ro. Thanks for sticking with us here on Prep Recruiting Insider on TV 20. We are at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana, 34,000 square feet of meeting space. And Rene and Ro is here with me, as always. And once again, this is a place to be. We're going to talk a little bit more about NOLA Motorsports Park with Garrett Potter, who, I'll give him a title. He doesn't know about this. He's the king of karts, but we'll tell you about that later.
This is a great place to be, and we always enjoy coming out each and every week. You need to come here if you've never been here before. It's not all about cars. There's a lot of things, parties and meetings and celebrations you can have out here. So a lot of things going out here, so you got to come.
It's time for our X's and O's segment, if you will. And this week we'll do it, of course, with two of the best around, the coach, Henry Rando, and the head coach of the Rummel Raiders, Jay Roth. And this week, they're talking about zone blocking.
Coach, tell us this morning a little bit about zone blocking with the offensive line. I know a lot of people run what is called the inside zone and the outside zone. You're not blocking a man. You're not saying you got to block him. So Coach is going to go over here on teaching these offensive linemen how to zone block.
Coach, I had a hard time with these blocking schemes coming as a young coach. I coached, at Shaw and the Veer. I coached the wing tee, and then when I got to Jesuit coach with Mark Songi, learning the zone was hard for me to understand. Just go to an area. You're not blocking a guy, and that's what zone is. And it takes a long time for kids to understand you don't chase players. Somebody's going to come to you. Every zones are covered. So let's talk about outside zone. An outside zone is a C to D gap zone where we're trying to get the ball outside. Some people call it bounce or stretch or outside zone. All right. I'm going to tell you the offensive line, it's a lot of little meticulous things involved with this, steps and hand placement, which I'm not going to go over. I'm just going to go over what they're trying to do here as a blocker. Okay, outside zone, the tight end is going to try to reach this defensive end, meaning get to his outside shoulder and give us a corner. He's probably going to give a little ground to gain a little ground. All right? Now, if the end's fight and reach, great. He tries to hook him. If the end would shoot in, coach, he's not chasing. This is the hard part for kids to understand. You don't chase a guy if he goes in. Now you still take your steps and you go to your zone. So your zone is outside shoulder zone. You either reach in the end, if the end crosses your face, you go up to the next guy, which would be Sam. So now this guy has C gap. He's got C gap in zone. He's going to protect this C gap for about 3 steps, then work up. If Sam's there, he'll take Sam. If not, he's going to wait for Mike to come to him. Fullback is getting outside. He's going to steal anything inside, whether it's Sam or safety. The guard is going to reach the 3 tech, we call it, or the outside eye here. He's going to reach the 3. And the center is going to try to work there too, and then work up to the wheel coming over. So you can see a strong side zone. Everybody is stepping, protecting gaps for 2 or 3 steps, and working up. If he reaches him, fine. If the center pushes him through, if the center takes over for him, they'll push him through to Mike. Okay, so let's say this guy was a head-up player, what we call a 6 tech. And he's reaching the end, coach. Now, the tackle's going to take his steps and he might literally push the tight end up the field. He might take over for the tight end. If nothing's coming in his gap, he'll take over and push him out. It takes a lot of practice, not something somebody can change in 1 week, so let's go to the zone offense, because the blocking schemes are very intricate, and you have to have patience, and you can't go around chasing people.
Welcome back. Now it's time for our legend segment here on Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park. Rene and Ro, of course, is in the middle, and to his left is a guy who may look familiar to some of you people around here. He is a former St. Augustine Purple Knight and a former LSU Tiger. I guess he likes purple and gold because he never left that. Those two colors, or he likes that color scheme, and we're talking about Rahim Alem.
Yes.
How you doing, sir? Good to see you.
I'm doing wonderful, doing wonderful.
All right, should I tell him when we met? You know, you remember? You remember when we met?
Yep.
When?
I want to say 94.
Uh-huh.
Either 94 or 95. Mm-hmm. My dad coached at Nichols, and y'all did a segment on Keith Gardner.
Right. A really versatile football player, really good player. And the reason why we did that story was because the story was about, the, you know how the high school girl is usually the babysitter, you know, in the neighborhood? The star football player was the babysitter. He babysat this guy and his brother, Chad. And yep, that's when we met. Good to see you again, guy.
Right. We were talking recruiting a little bit. Rahim, tell us about you, all Metro, all state at St. Aug. What was the recruiting process like for you? Where did you go? What was the schools that it came down to before you decided on LSU?
When I was playing high school ball, the teams that were popular were Miami. It was still the Florida schools. Mm-hmm. So of course, growing up, you know, I watched the Miami National Championship game against Ohio State. You know, the whole Bobby Bowden era. So I always aspired to those schools. But when LSU won the national championship, and then I went on a few unofficial visits to LSU, I mean, just the way they treated you, the services that were provided to the athletes, it was just amazing. And I fell in love. I'm a hometown, you know, guy. Love New Orleans, love my state. And, you know, having the opportunity to play at LSU, also they were on the rise. Mm-hmm. So around that time, it wasn't even a decision to make. It was right there.
The thing is, I talked about Jermaine and Leonard. You were an academic all-SEC guy. You took your classes very serious, didn't you?
Right. So I guess you say it's a St. Aug tradition. You know, we're always taught, you know, we have excellent athletic tradition, but, you know, academics, like Leonard said, you know, will carry you further. So, you know, I'm proud of those guys that keeping that tradition going, and I wish the best for them academically when they attend their, you know, respective universities. But, yeah.
Once you got to LSU, you know, despite the fact that you didn't start a whole lot of ball games, your junior year, you made a couple all-SEC teams. I'm talking about on the field, you know, not just academically.
8 sacks?
Yeah, you know, you became, you know, I guess you were like the sack master. Let's talk about your career there.
I was always the smaller guy. Nick Saban loaded the defensive line up with a bunch of 6'4", 280s, 6'5", 270, Tyson Jackson.
Glenn was there?
Yeah, I was the misfit. I was the little guy trying to prove myself. You know, I worked hard in the weight room. I had to try my hardest to get to 250. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was playing with guys 270, but you know, I played to my strengths, and I said, you know, I'm going to be the guy that's going to be able to get to the quarterback, and I'm going to play every down, nonstop. And I was given that opportunity in 08, made all SEC, AP, coaches, all SEC, and it was just a wonderful time, you know, getting rewards for the hard work you put in.
Non-stop was something that you did in high school and college. Just talk about that style of play. I mean, you usually hear people talk about his motor never stops. Your motor never stopped.
Right. I guess that's a personality trait. My dad played defensive end, but my mother has, the attitude as well. So I guess you could say it's genetic, but I mean, it's just, the will, it was just the will to make a play. And, I always approached every play like it was my opportunity. I got to make something happen. I got to get to the quarterback, and I played that way.
You had a chance to hold up that crystal ball in the 2007 BCS championship. You're on a special team, a great defense. What was it like, Rahim?
I look back on that time now, and it's just unbelievable. And it was an unbelievable experience to be able to play for a national championship in your hometown. Tyron had the same opportunity. We were fortunate enough to win, and I just remember playing, and after the game, being able to go to the stands, give people hugs and dabs people that I knew, and leaving the game, after the game, partying, celebrating the victory, being on Bourbon Street and in your hometown. I mean, it's no way to describe it. It was just an amazing time.
How's your brother? For those who don't know, Rahim Alem and Chad Jones are brothers. Chad Jones, of course, a LSU football and baseball player who is now a professional baseball player.
Right. He's in the minor leagues right now. He got drafted by the Cincinnati Reds here recently. And his whole transition from football to baseball, I'm so proud of him. He worked so hard to get to where he can play in another professional sport at the professional level, and right now he's seeing where that can take him.
And of course, Rahim says that because, as most of you probably know, Chad Jones was in a very, very difficult auto accident and almost cost him his leg, and so it is quite an accomplishment that he is playing anything.
And you're very supportive, I know, Rahim.
Very, very, yes.
Okay, and before I let you go, you heard him mention his father. His father, also a St. Augustine Purple Knight, a member of the Tulane Green Wave, was the captain of Tulane's team, I think in about 1976 or 75 or somewhere. That may have been a little later, but he was captain of the team.
Right.
And so he was also a defensive end. So good to have you here, and don't think you were a better player than your daddy, okay?
That's an ongoing argument.
I'm sure it is. That's exactly why I said it. I'm just stirring it up. Rahim Alem, a legend this week on Prep Recruiting Insider. When we return, we'll talk a little NOLA Motorsports. Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. Rene and Ro is with me, but now we're going to talk a little NOLA Motorsports Park. Since these people are nice enough to let us come here and just, rearrange their buildings and everything and put all these lights and all that stuff in here and the cameras. Garrett Potter is with us. Garrett, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Garrett is director of karts. I'm old-fashioned. Are they called go-karts anymore?
No, they're still called go-karts with the K now.
I thought about that after I said
They've changed
go-kart.
a little bit, but not much.
Changed a little bit.
Yeah, the mechanics have changed quite a bit. The name's about the same.
Okay, and the title I gave you, director of karts, king of karts is what I told you.
I'll take king of karts.
All right. So talk about that segment of NOLA Motorsports Park. It seems like a real popular segment because a couple of the players who had Leonard Fournette said, "Yeah, I've been here before."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the kart operations or the kart center is probably one of the most popular parts of the park because everybody can enjoy or be a part of it. And it's our lowest cost portion of the facility to get involved and go out and drive. And honestly, for me, it's the funnest. Karting is a blast. So if you haven't had a chance to do it, you got to come out. It's a great time.
You got some intricate vehicles here.
Yeah.
I mean, a go-kart, this is not go-karts where you used to put the lawnmower engine on the back and run. Explain maybe the design. You got some karts that can go, am I wrong, like 120 miles an hour?
Yeah,
Explain
up to 120 miles an hour, yeah.
Really?
Everything in between. On the race side, we start kids as young as 5 years old, and we have age groups and speeds all the way up to however old. I think our oldest driver is 63 years old. So everything from the start all the way through the middle and up to the end. So it's amazing. The technology has changed quite a bit over the years. Obviously, from most people that you talk about, they're used to the old carts that they build at home. A lot of technology involved now. Tires, brakes, engines, you know, and as you said, up to 120 miles an hour. So it's pretty amazing.
How safe is it, Garrett?
I've raced anything with wheels since I was 5 years old, and everything you could think of, snowmobiles, cars, motorcycles, and I landed on karting after having a pretty serious motorcycle accident, and landed on karting about 14 years ago, and it's by far the safest form of motorsports that I've ever been involved in. You know, it's also a huge family sport. Again, like I said, kids start at 5 years old, and you know, dads, moms come out, and it's a family experience on the weekends, and great time. Karting has definitely been my passion for the last 14 years. So.
Now you have a track. You have different tracks, I know, for different bigger vehicles. But talk about the tracks, the distance, how, you know, the design and things like that. How is that
well, this
put together?
Dr. Laney Schwest built this with a smaller plan originally, but it's morphed into this large, huge motorsport entertainment facility. It's one of the largest in North America of its kind. So just the facility alone is an amazing. Obviously, you guys have been here, so you've seen the track and the buildings and stuff. But on the kart side, just to look at the facility, it is the most impressive kart facility I've ever seen in my life, and it's by far the largest in North America. We have over 60 configurations on track configurations, the way we want to set it up. In its full configurations, it's 1.4 miles long, but it gives us a lot of opportunities to do different things. So we can have arrive and drive rentals where people just come up and drive, as well as racing, as well as events, all going on at the same time. So that's something that's unusual in our industry. You normally have to kind of pick and choose what you want to do, but for us, the design works really well, so everybody has the opportunity at any time to come out. So,
So real quickly, you know, you came here from Salt Lake City to work here.
Yes.
At NOLA Motorsports. You know, what do you have to do to get a job like this? You know, I guess I'm asking, you know, what are your qualifications? You know,
well,
I mean, what do you do? I mean, let's talk a little
I
bit
think
about that.
you know, the racing side for me, again, like it started young. My parents started me young in BMX, actually at 5 or 6 years old, and through the different years of doing different motorsports, I think having the passion or the lifestyle for racing and just having that kind of live, eat, sleep, breathe racing was one thing. As I started to get a little older, over the last 14, 15 years, I started to get into the business side of it. You know, so the business side of it has been interesting, but that's about it.
All right, Garrett Potter. I call him King of Karts. Good to have you here on Prep Recruiting Insider.
Thank you.
You're not really into Harry, are you?
No.
Okay, all right. We'll be back with more Prep Recruiting Insider right after this. I want to thank Garrett Potter, Director of Karts, again here at NOLA Motorsports Park. And there you see it, the address, 11075 Nicole Boulevard, Avondale, Louisiana. That's 504-302-4875. NOLA Motorsports Park, 11075 Nicole Boulevard. And coming up, big doings here in November 13th to the 16th. The Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals right here at NOLA Motorsports Park. Tickets went on sale, Tuesday. And you can get them at nolamotor.com. That's nolamotor.com. The Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals right here at
Gotta be
NOLA
here.
Motorsports
Gotta be here.
Park.
Gotta be here.
Gotta be here. Gotta be here for that. Good day today. You know, St. Augustine Purple Knights, Jermaine Roberts, Leonard Fournette, and Rahim Alem was our legend.
Some good old friends. It's great to have recruiting, talk about it. We have a lot more coming in next week, and a lot of surprises, so you don't want to miss next week's show.
Thanks for joining us this week on Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, Louisiana. We'll see you next week.